An initiative of the Greater Des Moines Partnership, formed in 2007, One DSM exists to connect entrepreneurial needs with qualified resources and to provide guided professional and business direction. One DSM helps entrepreneurs maximize their successes by helping them navigate resources, strengthen knowledge, improve skills, form strategic alliances, and secure proper capitalization. To find out more about One DSM, visit www.squareonedsm.com.
All right, well, let's get started. Thank you all for coming. I'm amazed how many people came today. Thank you all. This is the first day of EntreFest over in Iowa City, and they've got quite a show going on, so thank you for being here. I think quite a few people are headed for EntreFest tomorrow. Goes tomorrow and Friday, is that right? Somebody knows? Yep. Thank you. Thank you. So coming up next, Brian Hemasath, who's in the back of the room, is going to come back from Bonnaroo and talk to us June 17. We hope he gets back from Bonnaroo, right? In one piece. Yeah? Yeah, he'll probably be sunburned. But so the Global Insurance Accelerator, and we have several of the teams in the room today, graduates next week at the Global Insurance Symposium. And I was talking to some people upstairs this morning. For the graduation event, it looks like there will be over 400 people in the room. So I don't want any of you guys that are presenting to get nervous, but there will be 400 people in the room. So, and 300 of them will be your customers. So just, no pressure. It's okay. So June 17th for Brian's event. We haven't quite figured out July yet, but we'll be announcing that pretty soon. So with that, welcome Kaylee. Welcome back.
Thank you
Kaylee
for
Williams.
having me.
For those of you who don't know Kaylee, would you just give us like a 1 or 2 minute background on you up through joining Volunteer Local?
Sure, yeah. So I run Volunteer Local, startup company that was built here in Des Moines. And I've been MIA for the last year, living down in Raleigh, North Carolina. But I actually moved here to Des Moines after I graduated from the University of Iowa. So I lived here for 2 years. I know many of the people in the room. For those of you I don't know, I look forward to getting to know you. I'll be back in Des Moines the last week here, or the first week in June, and then moving back in August, at least for a few months, and then after that we'll see where we end up. But yeah, I've been working on Volunteer Local for 3 years now. I started as an intern, worked my way up to the community builder, and now I do most of our business development at Volunteer Local.
She's being conservative there. She actually kind of runs the company at this point. And say you do run the company at this point. Is that true, Brian? Yeah. Okay. So just because running a startup isn't really enough in your day, you also play in a band.
I do. I play bass guitar and I sing with my partner River. River Glen Music is what we officially go by as the band name. So I do that to kind of unwind and in the evenings, make a little bit of extra money. And then I actually recently just learned how to brew my own beer. So today I was going to bring a beer and put it on every table, but I did something different instead, as you can see, and we'll talk about that later. But if you do ever want some craft beer made by yours truly, hit me up. No guarantees that it's going to be good, but it will be made by me.
So you've been in Raleigh. In Raleigh, the Research Triangle Park area is a very active entrepreneurial area, and you've been living there and working there for a year now.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about where you're working, because you're kind of in a unique spot, and then what do you think of that compared to Des Moines?
Great question. So I work at a Google for Entrepreneurs co-working space called American Underground. And it actually began in Durham, North Carolina, and they spun out the Raleigh version because there were enough entrepreneurs in Raleigh who wanted to be a part of the action. So American Underground was a lot of what you would expect and then maybe a little bit of what you wouldn't expect. The beer fridge was fully stocked at all times. They had Razor scooters, and that's how people could get around from office to office, and they did use the scooters even during professional meetings with their investors. It was very funny. And the companies in there were really cool and very innovative, and I actually got to have, for the first time in my professional career, my very own office at American Underground. So I decked it out. I had pictures of my family. I had flowers on the wall, and it was a wonderful experience.
Cool.
The Research Triangle is a lot different from Des Moines. The obvious difference is that it's bigger. There's just a lot more stuff going on. There's a lot more people who are involved in startups, and there's a lot more events that are happening just around the area. They're very focused on different parts of what it means to be an entrepreneur. So the community itself isn't as cohesive and under one umbrella as it is here in Des Moines. In the Triangle, it's very segmented. You have your developer clique, you've got your biz dev clique, you've got your marketing people, and they all kind of have their own network and their own circles that they intermingle within.
Interesting. So you've been working remote for a year. I think we all, with startups, always think about that ability just to work off of wherever you're at. You know, obviously your partner in this, Brian, is remote from you. What's it been like to work remote and what adjustment did that cause for you where you're not working with your partner in the business, if you will?
Yeah, it had challenges. There were definitely challenges associated with it. We did a lot of emailing back and forth, but we were doing that anyway before. So the emailing wasn't too different. We were on the phone a lot more. And I think we started to put some things into place that would keep me accountable and make sure that we were getting stuff done. Every week I would do a weekly email. So someone once told me that you get what you measure for. So we started to identify what are the things.
Who told you that?
My boy MC over here, Michael.
Yeah.
So the things that we know are important to our growth as a company are the revenue that we're making every month, the returning revenue, so clients who are coming back, how many clients are coming back, so our renewal rate, and then the marketing stuff that I'm working on, like the blog posts that we write, the social media posts that we do. And so what I did was I took all the things that we're measuring and I put them into a weekly email, just a template, and then every week I would fill in the numbers, fill in the information, and send it off to Brian. So in addition to being in communication almost every day, email and phone, we would have this weekly touch point where it was, how are we doing? How much revenue did we make this week? And how much, every quarter we get together and we say, how much can we anticipate making in the next few months?
Okay. And so do you think working remote like this, has it helped you become more structured in how you do things? What changes did it cause you to go through?
Yeah, I definitely had to be a little bit more structured in my day and think about, it's a little different when you don't have your team next to you, so you don't really always get to bounce ideas off of one another when you have an idea. So it gave me pause to sit down and think about how I wanted to word things, and I would put them together into an email. We had our first quarterly review on a conference call, which was a little weird, doing a screen share, and I walked through the slides in my PowerPoint. And I think I would always prefer to do that in person, because then you can really get that interaction, and it's more comfortable to just speak up in person than on a conference call. But it was definitely doable. Challenges can be overcome when you're working remotely.
Any suggestions for others that are going to start working remote? Anything that now that you look back, now you've been doing that for a year, what would you tell people that are getting ready to do that?
Find a space where you can get stuff done.
Yeah.
When I first moved to Raleigh, I was in the co-working area, and I was on the phone all the time, and it clearly bothered people around me. And I realized very quickly that I needed to have an office. I needed to have a place that I could go, shut the door, like even just the sound of the Razor scooters across the wooden floor was really irritating to me when I was trying to be on the phone with clients. So like find a place where you can get work done. And maybe it's your living room, maybe it's your kitchen. For me, it had to be away from my home. It had to be in an office where I could actually sit down and have quiet.
So one of the things I know that has happened with Volunteer Local is the size of the customer is getting larger. You guys are going after larger accounts. Can you talk about a couple of large account wins and that are public? I know there's probably something you can't talk about, but I know Bonnaroo was one, so I'd love to have you tell people about Bonnaroo. And I had no idea how big that was, so give us some numbers around Bonnaroo and what it means to you guys.
Absolutely. So this is how we really got the growth that we're seeing in 2015. Bonnaroo is a big, huge music festival that happens in Manchester, Tennessee. If you haven't heard of it, don't worry. It's literally the middle of nowhere. 30,000 people converge on what they call the farm every summer, and they bring in these amazing performers, and they have, I think, 3 or 4 stages all going at all times, parades, costumes, it's a whole deal. And we got Bonnaroo, which was an amazing client for us to get, not in terms of the revenue as much, but because of the notoriety of Bonnaroo. So the people who know Bonnaroo know Bonnaroo. Another thing that we're learning about that industry, music festivals, is that it's very incestuous in a way. So the guy who manages is Bonnaroo's volunteer force, used to work for South by Southwest, is friends with the girl who does Governor's Ball and Hangout Festival, and knows like 3 people from Live Nation magazine that would want to learn about Volunteer Local at some point. So we're finding that as we start to get these bigger music festivals, the dominoes are falling. They're lining up and they're falling because the people know one another. And when a good product hits the market, I don't think there's a lot that can stop that from spreading to people who could benefit from it. So that was a big one that we got in terms of the marketing and the PR.
How many volunteers?
Around 2,000 for Bonnaroo. But they accept more applications than that. They actually deny a fair number of people.
Yeah, this is what was amazing to me is the volunteers actually have to put a deposit down and pay a
Indeed
fee
they do.
just to apply to be a volunteer. And that's pretty serious,
Yep.
right? So explain that.
Yeah, well, they get a free ticket to Bonnaroo. So there's a couple of things that are in play there. They get their free ticket, and everybody loves a free ticket. They have to pay for the ticket up front, which is a feature that we built into Volunteer Local. We collect the payment through Volunteer Local. It's an integration with Stripe or Authorize.net, 2 gateway portals that you can use. And the volunteers get that money refunded in full after the festival is over, considering that they've completed their jobs and their shifts. But the other part of it that I think draws people to want to volunteer and to put down that $285 payment right out of the gate is Bonnaroo has done a really good job creating a culture around their volunteer group. They call them the Crew, CROO, and they are a family. A lot of these people come back year after year after year. They have friends that they make. They have things that they want to do that they love doing as a volunteer, and they take ownership in the festival, as they should. They are paramount to the success of the festival.
So other customers, who else that we know about are big?
Yeah, so that's a big one in terms of the PR.
Right.
In terms of like the revenue, we've been partnering with big athletic organizations, big athletic companies, and what they do is they buy up a whole bunch of packages within Volunteer Local, and then they give those for free to the people who are members of the organization. So an example of that is USOCR, the United States Obstacle Course Racing Company. Basically, they are the umbrella organization for anything that has ropes, mud pits, climbing walls, anything I would never do.
Who
they all
knew?
use Volunteer Local.
The National Association for Climbing Ropes
yeah,
and Jumping in Mud Pits.
Right, and
I
during
like
a
it.
5K.
Yeah, great.
So they loved Volunteer Local, and they bought it up, and then now they're giving it to the different events to use for free. And it's a great value for the events, and it's great for us because we get all these new clients,
Sure.
and we didn't have to go after each one and try to sell each client one at a time. There's just one point of sale. We convinced the dude that was at the top, and then we were able to get all the events beneath it.
Nice.
USA Triathlon is another big organization that we're partnering with. With USA Triathlon, they recommend that their members use Volunteer Local, and we give them a discount to do so. And I'm excited to announce today a brand new one, I Am Athlete, a race registration company. We are now partnering with I Am Athlete to provide a discounted version of Volunteer Local to their clients.
Nice. Nice. Well done. So where are you focused? What markets do you guys really go after? I know if somebody wants to buy it, you'll sell it no matter what, but who do you focus on?
Well, a big part of 2014 was identifying where are we making our money? Who are the people that are buying Volunteer Local? Some of you may not know, we have 3 versions of the product. We have a free version, and that allows the volunteer coordinators to schedule their volunteers online. They can run a report of their filled and unfilled shifts. They can export their data to Excel. They can do everything they need to do, and it's free and it's ad-free. So we don't put ads on there from Dove or any other company that wants to have ad space. It's completely free. We have a middle tier, and it's called the Discover Plan. It's $200 per event. And the coordinator can communicate with their volunteers. They can receive real-time sign-up notifications, all that good stuff. And then we've got our top tier, the Grow Plan, and that's the moneymaker. $800 per event or $2,400 per year. And so what we did in 2014 was we sat down and we said, who's paying for the Grow Plan? Who are the people at the top? And we identified 4 verticals that we want to pursue. We have music festivals like Bonnaroo, sporting events, so these big partnerships that we're making with I Am Athlete and USOCR, they want the top version of Volunteer Local. The race directors love Volunteer Local. That top plan really does it for them, and they have a budget. colleges and universities. So the University of Iowa was actually our first big college and university client. They use Volunteer Local for Welcome Week, homecoming, other on-campus opportunities. Again, they love that top plan, that grow plan on Volunteer Local. And then the fourth vertical was nonprofit organizations, which might be surprising to some of you. They do love the free plan, but we just started a new program where we're going after national foundations to partner with them in much the same way that we're doing with athletic organizations, to say, if you've got 20 chapter affiliates across the nation, let's partner and you provide Volunteer Local to them. So those are the four verticals that we're pursuing right now, and that's where I spend a lot of my time in regards to business development.
All right. So I would assume with all this new revenue, you're expanding. The company's getting bigger. Tell us about, as much as you can, where's Volunteer Local going? People plans, expansion, new markets, what are we going to be seeing?
Yeah, well, we're looking at making our first real hire. It's probably going to be somebody who can help us to find, attract, and bring in more new clients to the software. And so as we're looking at that position and what we need that person to do, we're thinking about what do we want the trajectory to be. We definitely want to continue sustain the growth that we've had so far in terms of our revenue and our client base. And so we're looking at making that first new hire to help us along the way to get us there.
So what about programming? I think your programmer's kind of been MIA on you for a few months. Well, let's just say, I mean, he doesn't even sleep as it is. I don't know when he can write any code. Are you having to think about going outside for programming?
We've definitely thought about it, and I think it's something that we'll talk about. Especially, we're building out new features all the time. And as we attract these big festivals, they have a lot of needs.
They have a lot of needs.
Yeah, so the sporting events, they're really great. They're like the ideal customer because they find Volunteer Local, they like it, they pick the apple right off the branch and they love it. But with music festivals, they need some core functionality that we currently don't provide. And so we've built out a lot of new features for them. One of them is the credit card feature that I just talked about a moment ago. To process deposits for the volunteers. The second one, shift swapping. So they want their volunteers to have the ability after they've signed up to swap a shift with another volunteer, but they can't swap outside of their crew. So if I got assigned to the cleanup crew, too bad, so sad, I can't swap with somebody who's working a beverage tent. I can only swap a shift within cleanup crew. So we built that functionality and we're about to roll it out. And then name tags. So the volunteers, they have a bad habit of trying to get in backstage to meet the performers. So if the volunteer has a name tag and it says where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there, it helps Bonnaroo and it will help other festivals keep everyone in check.
Yeah.
So we're continuing to build out the product. We're always looking to evolve the product and make it better. So development is top of mind all the time. Product rollout is something that we're consistently doing. And I think working with an independent firm is probably something that we'll gravitate towards for a developer. We'll hire a developer.
All right. So sales-wise, a couple more questions and I'll open it up. So as I'm asking her these last couple of questions, think about what you'd like to ask today. What have you found helpful in learning in sales? You've learned a lot about sales. You came straight out of school to this job. You've had to learn sales through action. What's working for you? What do you think that you've learned that you would tell somebody else going into sales? What's working for you?
Yeah,
especially on the
I'm
large
glad you asked that. Yeah. So a couple things. I surprise myself occasionally. I used to think sales was like this dirty word, and Brian was like, yeah, I think, you could definitely do more selling. And I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. I don't think I want to do that. But it's not. I realized that when you're selling to someone, you're not really selling them something. You're actually solving a problem for them. So I really like to solve our customers' problems. When they call me and they don't know how to do this or that, I've gotten to the point where I can, assess the situation, apply it to the software, and I'm solving their problem and I'm also selling them Volunteer Local, and it doesn't feel like selling to me. One of the things that we do, we have a pretty high-touch sales cycle. I give a live demonstration of Volunteer Local to almost every client that upgrades. So we do a screen share, and this is stuff I can't live without. We have a join.me account. We have a conference line through Speak, and we have Salesforce that we keep all our leads and we track them as they move through the funnel. And I do a live demonstration for every client. And you'd think that at this point I would hate doing demos, right? It would be like the bane of my existence. I have 4 demos this week. But actually I love it because people typically respond really positively to Volunteer Local when they see it, which is really good for me and it feels good. But I've gotten so confident giving the demo at this point that I've started to throw in some humor, and I'll test out jokes on people and just kind of like see how it goes. Luckily, no one from Volunteer Local has ever been on a call when a joke has completely fallen flat. The customers didn't turn away though. They were like, "Oh, that's charming. Let's move on."
Nice try, huh? Yeah.
But the joke that does the absolute best is the version where when I sign up for an event and I indicate that I'm bringing a +1 with me, I always indicate that I'm bringing my boyfriend River. So I'll say, I'm going to sign up for this shift and I'm going to bring my boyfriend River. It's going to be like a date. And then we get into the report and I want to show the coordinator how to break groups apart. So I tell them, I call you up the day before the event and I say, Nancy, River and I broke up. This guy is such a jerk. I cannot volunteer with him. Big laugh every time. And then I say, here's the breakout feature, and you can break River out. And so he becomes his own volunteer, and then you can move him independently of me into a new job and shift. And like clockwork, I kid you not, someone on the conference call will go, you should call that the break up button, not the break out button. It's the perfect joke because it makes them laugh. It's a little self-deprecating, and they get to do the punchline.
Yep.
So, have fun. Have fun with sales. It doesn't have to be like this awful thing that you're doing. You're solving problems. You're making relationships. You're building relationships with people. And for us, we have a really high retention rate, and that's because we care about our clients. We talk to them. We answer the phone. When they email us, we respond within 24 hours. It's important that they feel like it's a person on the other side of the technology.
Speaking of having fun, you have brought some paper and some pens with you today. Would you like to talk about this?
Yeah, so I just talked about our new hire, and we sat down with Jenna from Dwala yesterday, Brian and I did, and we talked about mission, vision, and values. And this isn't something that we've really, dived into with Volunteer Local quite yet, but I realized that, upon reflection, that there are a lot of things about Volunteer Local that I love, and it makes my job awesome because I care about the company and I feel like the company does really good stuff for other people. So our tagline at Volunteer Local is happy volunteering, and I had this epiphany after our meeting with Jenna that is one of our vision statements, happy volunteering. Everything we build, we do it with happy volunteering in mind. Is this going to make it easier for the volunteer? Is the volunteer going to respond positively? Will it save time for the volunteer? So we have this tagline, happy volunteering, and we try to keep it top of mind when we build stuff, when we talk to clients, when we sell the product. So today, I wanted to challenge all of you. I know some of you in here, you're builders, you have your own companies that you're working on. Think about what makes you happy, who are you serving, and take the marker and write in there hashtag happy and then whatever it may be. Maybe it's parenting, happy parenting, or maybe it's, playing guitar, happy guitar playing, happy surfing, whatever it may be. Figure out what it is that is your core value, and then take that thing off and slap it on a cooler or a water bottle or your laptop, and keep it top of mind. Everything you do, everything you build in your company, everything you do in your life, keep that vision central and core to what you're working on, just like we keep happy volunteering top of mind when we build anything new at Volunteer Local.
So you're supposed to grab one of these pieces of paper now and a pen and...
You have to let it dry. Don't touch it while it's dry.
Don't touch it while it's wet. Yep. I love it, interactiveness.
Right?
I'm going to set this aside. Are you done with yours?
You know what? I'll finish it off.
And we can keep going. Video break. You are being videotaped, by the way.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Awesome.
You'll be online soon.
Thank you. And I should explain the hashtag. So when volunteers tweet that they're volunteering for an event through Volunteer Local, we embed the hashtag happy volunteering. So if you go to Twitter and you look up hashtag happy volunteering, you'll actually see tweets from people all over the world volunteering for events through Volunteer Local that they care about, causes they care about. Nice. So that's the hashtag. I'm not just a super Twitter fan. I mean, I like Twitter, but the hashtag happy and then whatever it may be.
Super Twitter fan. I haven't heard that one before. Okay. Well, let's open up for some questions. What questions do you have for Kayleigh? Doug.
You talked a little bit about the differences in the markets that you're serving, but do you find it difficult to focus on particular feature sets that are going to work across those different markets? And because I was talking to my wife, and she was sitting down doing something, I said she was going to do an event. It was more of an invitation software, but she said, oh, I'm not using that. It was like, I'm not going to use that type of invitation software. This is for people who are going to bring something to the dinner. And I wonder, and I thought about that in terms of talking to you today, do you find that there's certain features that people say, oh yes, we absolutely have to have that, but then come to find out, it really doesn't fit with any other particular.
So is a paraphrase, is say are there features that just only work in one industry, and how do you struggle through?
Yep, great question, all the time. Part of that's the reason that we have the 3 versions of Volunteer Local. The Discover plan has a certain feature set, the Grow plan has another feature set, and we always want people to be at the Grow plan. Of course, we make more money, but it's not a good fit for everyone. Some people just don't need all that extra stuff, and it can clutter the page. So Discover plan all the way, and we encourage them to pick the plan that fits them best. But the features that I talked about, the credit card feature, shift swapping, name tags, sporting events could care less. Maybe the credit card feature gets used by 1 or 2 athletic clients, but those are music festival features. So we've built them into the platform in a way that allows the coordinator to pick which ones they want to add. We call them add-on features. So they pay a flat fee to use the credit card feature. They'll pay a flat fee to use the name tag feature. And same thing with shift swapping. So you get to pick, you get to that top level, the Grow plan, and then if you say, hey guys, we really need shift swapping, we say, okay, we'll add that into your account for X dollars. So they get to customize the product to fit their needs, but you are absolutely correct. It's something that we keep in mind when we train new people. Here's what you show the sporting events clients. Here's what you show the music festival clients.
It's okay. Yes?
So when you're doing an event, a big event,
Bonnaroo.
Kangaroo,
Bonnaroo. The Aussie in the room.
ramp up the support during the busiest time for people are signing up or where they're at the event and they're changing. How do you do the support?
Yeah, it's a great question. So how much support does something like Bonnaroo cause you?
We'll find out.
Good answer.
It's our first year. So you're actually, you're kind of towing into what we're thinking of doing. We're going to add a new thing into Volunteer Local where we provide a person on site to help because we know the software like the back of our hand, and we can help people in real time on site if they're having problems with the check-in tool, the checkout tool. We're rolling out an app. It'll be available at the beginning of June, and so volunteers will be able to check themselves in and out. So what we're doing is we're going to charge an additional fee to have a Volunteer Local rep on site at the event, working the event with your team, but primarily helping with the technology side of things.
Are they volunteers too?
No, they will get paid. We'll make sure they get paid. Yeah, they could. Yeah, we volunteer a lot in the communities that we live in. I volunteer in Raleigh, and I volunteered a lot here in Des Moines when I lived here, and I know Brian volunteers all the time for Variety and a number of other events.
Clement, hang on. Clement, you had a question.
I'm Clement Wilcox, and I always have to make this question because this is what I do. Happy connections with the Hispanic market, so I want to know what your capabilities are for the Hispanics.
Hispanic market capabilities.
We work with a lot of cultural festivals. I think we actually work with the Celebration event here in Iowa. We don't have any specific features beyond what we offer in terms of working with festivals in that regard. We don't have a nonprofit discount, but like I said, we do work with national foundations to provide a discount to their chapters at the individual affiliate level. So the product can be used for any number of events. You'd be amazed what people find and use Volunteer Local for. So the product is out there, the free version is out there for any organization to use for any event.
It's in English.
In Spanish. No, we have not translated the page quite yet, but a lot of the page is customizable, so you get to create your own registration form, and a lot of times we'll have clients that write first name, and then they'll write first name in a different language right next to it. So, and then you can add content to the top of the page, and that can be in any language. The only stuff that's hard-coded in that's definitely in English, I suppose even the job titles can be made in English and Spanish or just Spanish. The date is going to always be American, month, day, year. So we have some international clients that have asked that we flip that. But it's actually very customizable. You would be surprised.
There you go. Brian, did you have something? Yeah, share what you... The Hy-Vee road races.
Yeah, so going back to your question, we actually did provide an on-site coordinator for an event, and it was me for the Hy-Vee road races. I was doing that part of it and volunteer local, and it was good. It was a really good experience. We learned, first of all, that it can be done. We learned that a volunteer local rep can probably recruit more volunteers faster than somebody who doesn't quite yet know how to use the software and how to leverage, the different markets in the area to get people to sign up for the event. And we definitely underpriced that. I think at the time we made like a flat fee. So we learned a little bit about pricing and the amount of work that went into it. But basically what I did was I added up my hours. So when am I working on the Hy-Vee road races? When am I helping to recruit these volunteers for this big event? And then at the end of it, we just took the dollar amount we made, we divided it by the number of hours, and then we figured out this is about how much time it will take. This is about, the resources that we're going to need to make it happen and to be successful at it, and how much we should charge moving forward.
Questions?
Can we find out some of the happies?
We'll do that at the end. We're going to do that at the end. Yeah. Yes?
There's something that you said that I'm just trying to wrap my head around, and we're not there yet, but people pay to volunteer. Really, help me with that. And
Yeah, I didn't get that one either
Yeah.
until she explained it.
I think that Point Iowa could get to.
Yeah.
Well, I think the idea is they get a free ticket to this event, and it's a big deal. I mean, what's a ticket cost to Bonnaroo?
I think it's like $300 for a general admission.
So it's a $300
Up from
ticket.
there.
So if they do a couple volunteer shifts, they get the ticket for free. But
Yep.
to make sure you work, we make you pay for it first. You work your shifts, we give you a credit. That's the key, is
Yep.
you're actually putting a deposit down for the ticket in case you don't show up for your shifts. You're paying for it if you do the work.
Basically do that, where if you pay $15
Right.
for volunteer local, you can get it $20.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's your competition?
Yeah, competition.
Yeah.
I'm using one of your competitors' products. I volunteer at the ARL, and unfortunately the ARL doesn't use volunteer local.
Here in Iowa, yeah. The one in Durham uses volunteer local, and I got to meet them, and they're wonderful folks, and the dogs are just so cute.
Well, have them call the one in Iowa and
I
tell them to
should.
switch.
I
Yeah,
should.
yeah. We need to work on that.
Depending on the vertical, we have different competitors. So with sporting events, active.com, you've probably heard of Active, they have a volunteer management thing that they built out. It's terrible. They don't ever update it. They actually, I am totally biased, but they do tell their clients right out of the gate, here's this volunteer management thing you can use. We will never answer a support question on it, so if you have a problem, figure it out. That's what they actually tell their people. So we're like, hey, well, we're people, and if you call us, we'll help you out with it.
Yeah.
So there's Active within that vertical, and then there's Volunteer Hub, Volunteer Spot, Better Impact, formerly known as Volunteer Squared. It's not like a huge market that people are really going after, but we're disrupting this market in a couple of key ways, and I think our competitors are feeling the hurt because we're taking some of their big people.
Sounds great. Yeah.
I think it's great that you're going after the umbrella organizations, because that's where the money is. Are you doing anything consciously on the viral free side just to get volume up? Some of those users could trickle up, like thinking about thousands of swim teams run by moms and dads, and telling the USA Swimming, you guys need this.
Yeah, that's a great question, and you are right on point. The free plan is incredible lead generation. In fact, I like to tell people everybody who paid for Volunteer Local was a freebie to start, because when you create your account, it's always on the free plan, and you have to upgrade from there. So the free plan is awesome. It's a good product, and I think if you're using a plan like that to get people into your world, into your platform, it has to be a good product. So we start with a solid product, and a lot of people don't move beyond the free plan. They love it, and it does exactly what they need, and it never expires. So there's definitely value there. We should connect offline to talk about ways we could promote the free plan. I would love to hear your ideas. We've experimented with some advertising. We've done Facebook, Google AdWords. We did a marketing campaign where we sent little care packages to people, little spa kits that they could open up, and it was, we'll take the stress out of volunteer management. There was little chocolates in there and like little eye masks. But you know, we've tried a variety of different ways to get the word out there about it, but we've really found that word of mouth tends to be just the best way that every person that we get on the platform is like, well, so-and-so told me that they had tried this thing, Volunteer Local. So, you know, we're still experimenting and still trying to find the best way to get in there.
You know, I got to say, this is one of the things I've found in the last few years working with companies that are doing software where it's not a direct sale model. Is one of the few things that is working right now is referrals. I mean, a lot of the ad stuff it's hard. There's so many people pushing so much messaging to everybody in this room that we're starting to all tune it out just by nature. Like, I don't even notice an ad anymore. It's like, I just move on, right? And I think that it's really important to think consciously about how you derive referrals. What are you doing to drive referrals? Because it's the most successful conversion there is, or lead generation there is.
That's right. And what we're doing for people, it's not to be taken lightly. For a lot of these big events, volunteers are the cornerstone of what makes it happen. So they have to trust us. They have to know that we're not going to mess with their stuff, that we're not going to lose their data, or that their volunteers aren't going to hate it and never want to be a part of the event again. So we do take that very seriously, and building that trust and then having that become a referral is incredibly powerful.
To give you an example of that, the ARL in Des Moines Metro last year did 89,000 volunteer hours. That's 43 full-time people. You really don't want to make them mad, right? I mean, that's a lot of labor. Yes?
I am thinking of someone right now that would love this. I would just recommend that this would be, as a marketer, a good opportunity for us, all of us, we have to recommend.
Yeah. So in other words, make sure everybody in here tells her one lead. Get her one lead. That's nice. All right. So, all right. Everybody's got an assignment. Everybody needs to drive one warm lead to Kaylee.
Sorry.
That's all right. Marketer. Yeah.
Well, and related to that, I think of a lot of service organizations that are out there, and I think that service organizations are well enough developed, whether it's Rotary or Kiwanis or whatever. They have a website, but they may not manage volunteers.
Right.
Within that. So what do you do in those cases? How do you either overcome the objection, well, we've got something kind of built into the website, or how do you integrate with existing software? How do you do that?
Cool. So I actually probably should have mentioned this earlier when Des asked about our competitors. Our biggest competitor is still a spreadsheet, pen and paper. So there is an information barrier, and we have to work with people who aren't always technologically savvy. We have to speak their language and help them understand the product is easy to use, so that really helps us and works to our advantage. And it's easy for the volunteers too. So I haven't really talked about how we're innovating in the market, but one of the key things that we talk about is the fact that with Volunteer Local, volunteers don't have to create a username and a password on Volunteer Local to sign up for a job and a shift for your event. So we've taken all those barriers to entry that I think volunteers are kind of used to at this point, and we've just knocked them down so that the volunteer can get right to the live page, sign up for what they want to do, fill out the form, and they click sign up to volunteer and they're in. So with those kinds of clients, we hold their hand. We show them how to build an event. We show them how to turn it live. We show them what their volunteers are going to see. And you don't have to have an amazing website to use Volunteer Local. We generate those URLs for you. So as long as you have a Facebook page or a newsletter or a Twitter account, you can send that link to anyone. Even just a regular old email blast through Gmail, you can send that link and people can click on it and sign up.
Yeah, I think, Doug, what you're talking about, that was one of the challenges, I think, for Volunteer Local. I've been involved with Brian on this before Kaylee got involved, is there are so many uses. The danger is trying to do them all. Right? I mean, because look at Rotary, how huge Rotary is, or Kiwanis. There are probably tons of opportunities, but the question is, are they really ready? Can they get value? And these last couple of years, they've found some niches that are like, yes, please sell this to me. And so many of us are saying, focus there, right? Because focus for a startup is everything. And so yeah, it's one of those products that can be used in so many places. And I think that's what makes the free product so nice, is you can recommend the free product to anybody. And if they start to see a critical mass of, oh my gosh, there's like 11 Rotaries got on the last month, we need to really go focus on that now versus, well, there was one. So.
Yep.
Accelerated programs as well.
Yes.
Brian used
Yep.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, so Brian used it for the Global Insurance Accelerator for all of the mentors for signing up for shifts. And I'm notorious for finding a bug in anyone's software. So he sends me a shift thing and I find a challenge. Right. See, it was on me. Yeah, that's the perfect answer. I can't replicate the bug.
User mistake.
It's a user problem. No, it worked really great. I think we did, how many shifts? You signed up 800 people or so? 800 event? 1,000 shift openings in 8 days. Yeah, you just don't want to manage something like that on your own. It's crazy. And this was originally done for Des Moines Arts Festival. It's where this all started. Brian wrote it for the Arts Festival. Yes?
We are not. We're completely bootstrapped.
So the question was, is there any outside money in the company? And the answer was bootstrapped.
Yep, we are a bootstrapped company. Yep.
The reason for not asking for money?
That's a good question. I don't think we're opposed to it. I think that we would if we needed to, but we haven't really needed to. Our growth hasn't been huge. I mean, this year was actually the first year when we saw the beginnings of what might be like a hockey stick growth. But the growth with Volunteer Local has been very sure and very steady. We have a really high retention rate, which means that if a client pays this year, we can look ahead and we'll know that they're going to probably pay next year and they're probably going to pay again the year after that. So what we're seeing is that clients not only come back year after year, but they tend to spend more money. So if we have 80% of our 2014 clients pay again in 2015, we might see a 150% increase in the revenue that we make from those 80%. So, as far as the business model goes, we just haven't needed to raise at this point because we have steady growth. We can forecast with a fair amount of accuracy how many people are going to come back and what that revenue will look like year after year.
And remember, when you take equity financing, equity investment, usually the equity people want their money out fairly soon. So if your goal is to build a long-term company, or you're not sure you would want to sell it within 3 to 5 years, taking equity may force you into that situation because or push you in that situation because your equity investors want to get their money out. They weren't in for the long term.
I'll just actually, I'm a co-founder of a nonprofit called Tech Journey.
Yeah.
And last year we had a summer camp. We had 57 volunteers and about 20 shifts, and we used volunteers.
You did?
We started off with a free version and used the paid version. Very nice. It was
Thank you.
Hey.
so
Can you send us some referrals?
it was a great software.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
So we're planning to use it again this campus.
Wonderful.
One up here and then one back there. Hang on.
What would you bring from Raleigh to Des Moines, and what would you take from Des Moines to Raleigh?
Oh.
Ooh, I took a lot from Des Moines to Raleigh. I think I was that annoying girl that's always talking about Iowa.
Right.
Yeah, I'd just be like, well, in Iowa, we do it like this. We have this event and this conference. So I took a lot of good stuff. I talked about Des Moines a lot. I talked about Iowa. They loved the idea of Silicon Prairie. They thought that was super cute. I was like, it's not cute. It's really cool and professional and hip. But
That's so cute, huh?
Right. It's like a little bit like kiddos. Good job down there.
Pat on the head, right?
Yeah. So I took a lot of stuff with me when I went there, and I was just bright-eyed, and I was really excited about it. And I think there were challenges for me going there because I did drown a little bit in just the sea of all the people and all the things going on. I went to a networking event for a program called SOAR, and it was a women-only small business startup event. And it was the first time in my professional career that I've been in a room of only women, and every conversation started with, "My company is called." So that was really cool, and I really liked that part of it.
Cool.
But it also made me feel a little small. Like, this is a huge, huge network of people, and there's just no way that I could, really make a splash even in 1 year to get to know everyone and to impact everyone. But then I took a lot of stuff from the Triangle that I definitely would want to bring back here. They have some really cool events going on. There's some neat innovation. The community at large really supports the startups in a lot of cool ways. I don't know. It's a good question, and one that I would probably want to think about a little better. I don't have like a concrete, bullet point list of things that I would bring back, but there was so much there. There was so much to see and do and learn from, and it was a wonderful experience because of that.
We had one at the back of the room.
Yeah, it sounds like your customer that mean you're getting just positive feedback from clients, or is it mixed? You guys put those things out. What are your clients telling you?
Yeah, so your retention's really high, but what do you hear back from your clients about the product and the service?
Generally very positive. I mean, across the board, very, very positive. We've only lost, I think, 2 clients to date, maybe 3. And one we lost because we didn't have the ability to set shift minimum requirements, which we do now have. So I emailed her and she said, great, let's talk in August. So the people that we're losing, we actually have a spreadsheet of lost customers and the reason why we lost them. Usually it's because of a leadership change. So they'll switch out the volunteer coordinator and they won't tell that person about volunteer local. There's, the event sometimes is just a one-time event, like a fundraiser that was done. But yeah, when the clients do have feature requests, we're very responsive to building those things out because we want to build a product that is made for the client. We want to continually evolve volunteer local. It can't be static. So when they do have a request, especially if they're threatening to leave if we don't do it, if it's within our bandwidth, we'll do it. We'll build it. Mm-hmm.
As long as they're a paid client, right?
Yeah, we don't do it for freebies.
Don't pay for freebies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a volunteer association?
Say again?
Is there a volunteer association, a conference once a year in America where you can all volunteer?
So is there a conference for volunteers? Wow.
You know, I don't know if there's a conference for volunteers.
Associations.
Yeah, there's Dovia here in Des Moines, and I presented to them last year, and I presented to the Event Planners Association in Iowa City. But on the national scale, we've gone to a couple of different conferences. We went to the FFEA Florida, or the Festivals and Events Association, the IFEA, International Festivals and Events Association conference. We've gone to IMFCon in Texas, which is a festival or a conference for people who manage festivals, film, and music. But I have not found a conference that's for volunteers. I like the idea. I've never even tried to Google it, so thank you.
You had one?
It's not meant to be a shameless plug, but when's your next concert? So,
Yes, when is River Glen playing next in Iowa?
I didn't plant that. I did not plant
No,
that.
I was going to do it to you anyway.
June 6th, we'll be playing at Lefties here in Des Moines.
Cool. And they are great. I got the chance to have a very intimate concert event with them on the shores of Lake Panorama one night. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Other questions? Yes.
So what's the future for Kaylee Williams? Do you see yourself working for Volunteer Local for your entire professional career, or do you have other aspirations?
I don't know. That's a great question. I love Volunteer Local. I think it'll always be a part of my life on some level. My long-term vision for Volunteer Local is to grow this thing out, to have a staff of people who are not only helping these events to create, the jobs and shifts they need filled and to get them filled, but then I also would love to see a team of people that we can send to the events, either to help with the check-in or just to be there, be a presence, the Volunteer Local camp, if you will, like what we're doing at Bonnaroo. But, I don't know. I love where this road is taking me, and I don't know where it will go. But I think for me, that's part of the allure of working for a startup company is, the mystery. How will this thing pop and when will it pop and what's that going to look like? And as my position continues to evolve, I get to keep on learning, and I will always be a lifelong learner. So I know that as well.
Other questions? Anybody want to share their hashtag happy? No? Yeah? You did. You already did it. You're there. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Thank you all for coming. Kaylee's going to be hanging around for a while, as well as the rest. So stick around and talk for a while. And have a great day. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being
Thanks,
here.
Kaylee.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing it.